What's up guys, just Josh and you're welcome to the last video of the album ranking marathon for today, and this episode is the Metallica discography ranking. This did change a little bit from the last video that I made, the original discography ranking video that I made. Now keep in mind, I still will not be including albums such as Garage Inc. and Lulu and S&M, only their 10 original studio albums. And come on, if I included Lulu, we all know where that would be. Let's get into it. At number 10, we have Load. My opinion on the worst Metallica album has not changed at all. This album does not know whether it wants to be a metal album, a hard rock album, a country album, a blues album. It's all those things mixed into one, and it just does not work at all. And at 79 minutes, this album is a complete bore to listen to. I would rather watch paint dry, but there's only two good songs that I would go out of my way to listen to, and that is Until It Sleeps and King Nothing. Ain't My Bitch, Bleeding Me, and The Outlaw Torn are decent as well, but songs like Mama Said, which is a straight up country ballad, Jesus, what were these guys thinking, man? And at number 9, we got Saint Anger. Wow, what can be said about this album that hasn't been said already? This album, I think, is really weak. It's really boring. It drags on for too long. At 79 minutes, a lot of these songs are way too long. Parts could have been cut out, and some of the songs go in rather aimless directions throughout their durations. And yeah, this album could have been shortened by at least 10 to 15 minutes, and it would have been a better album. The guitars are really muddy. The drums sound like trash cans. I mean, it's just a bad album overall. Now, I still like some of the songs on this album. All Within My Hands is decent, but Frantic, Saint Anger, Some Kind of Monster, and especially the Unnamed Feeling are some pretty good songs. But songs like Invisible Kid, Shoot Me Again, and Purify are among some of the worst songs this band has ever written. At number 8, we have Reload. This is definitely the better album out of the Load and Reload cycle, but I really feel like we could have done without, Load and Reload. We could have just had, the best songs from each album on one album. Maybe have it called Overloaded or Locked and Loaded. Like maybe Ain't My Bitch, Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, the house that Jack built, and The Outlaw Torn and Bleeding Me from Load, and have the first 6 songs from this album, and there you go. You have a much better album than those two albums separately. But yeah, this album is an album that I listen to whenever I just want to chill out and have a good groovy album to listen to. There are some great songs on this album like Fuel, The Memory Remains, Devil's Dance, Unforgiven II, Better Than You, Slither, and Fixer is okay as well, but really the first 6 songs from this album are the best songs. And at number 7, we have Hardwired to Self-Destruct. This album is disappointing, but at the same time, we got some great songs on this album, like the title track, Atlas Rise, Now That We're Dead, Moth into Flame. Dream No More is okay too, Halo on Fire is pretty good, Am I Savage is okay, and Spit Out the Bone are the best songs from this album. Other than that, they could have done without the rest of the tracks. This album really did not need a disc 2. Spit Out the Bone and Am I Savage are really the only outstanding songs on disc 2. So they could have done without most of the songs on disc 2, like I said. But this album is okay. Definitely harkens back to their thrashier roots, just like Death Magnetic did, but overall, this album has got nothing on their first 4 albums. And at number 6, we got Death Magnetic. This is a pretty underrated album, but it suffers from, bad production. The compression is a bit too much. The album is a bit too loud. The guitars kind of sound flat, and the drums are really loud as well. And that has always been an issue with Metallica. The drums have been a bit too loud, on albums such as Injustice for All, especially Saint Anger. But there are some pretty good songs on this album, like That Was Just Your Life, The End of the Line, Broken Beat and Scarred. The Day That Never Comes, All Nightmare Long, Cyanide, Judas Kiss, and My Apocalypse. It's still a good album, but it's just a bit too loud. And at number 5, we have Metallica's self-titled album, more commonly referred to as the Black Album. This is where a lot of people accuse the band of selling out. They tried to go for a more hard rock, mainstream type sound. I still think that this album is pretty good. Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Holier Than Thou, The Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam, Through the Never, Nothing Else Matters, My Friend of Misery are all good songs. Of Wolf and Man is pretty good too. But yeah, this album is really weak compared to their first 4 albums, and I still like it. It's just not as good as their thrashier stuff. And at number 4, we have Metallica's debut album, Kill 'Em All. This album is really, really amazing. Songs such as Hit the Lights, The Four Horsemen, Motor Breath, Jump in the Fire, Cliff's bass solo, Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, Whiplash, No Remorse, Seek and Destroy. Just a great album, and this is Metallica's, fiery debut. It's back when they were very angry, very youthful, very energetic, and it definitely shows on Kill 'Em All. At number 3, we got Ride the Lightning. Now this is when Metallica started to develop their trademark thrash sound with songs like Fight Fire with Fire, Ride the Lightning, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fade to Black, Trapped Under Ice, and Creeping Death. This album is an epic masterpiece on all levels, damn near flawless, and it's my 3rd favorite Metallica album of all time. Here's where the list starts to get really tough, because this album and my number 1 pick are very, very much tied as my favorite Metallica albums of all time. So it's really hard to distinguish which one is better than the other one. But I would have to put And Justice for All at the number 2 spot, because even though I think that it's their most progressive and technical album to date, especially as far as the drumming is concerned, it's kind of overproduced. The guitars are a bit flat because of the absence of bass on the album. That's the major gripe that everyone has with And Justice for All, is the absence of bass. But it's still an amazing album. And also, this has Lars's best work on the drums, his best technical and progressive drumming of all time on this album. And also, the drums are a bit too loud in this album. I can hear the bass drum over the guitar at some points. Yeah, this album really could have used a remaster. And I know they recently remastered it, but they didn't remix it, so you still can't hear the bass, which is just pointless. But there are And Justice for Jason videos on YouTube of the whole album with the bass track turned up, and that's really good. Now, there are a lot of amazing tracks on this album, such as the title track, Blackened, Eye of the Beholder 1, The Shortest Straw, Harvester of Sorrow, To Live Is to Die, and Dyer's Eve. There's really not a bad song on this album. My least favorite might be Frayed Ends of Sanity, but still, that's a good song as well. And at number 1, we got Master of Puppets. This is a perfect album in my opinion. It's got the perfect blend of melody, straight up thrash, and it is just absolutely amazing, and in my opinion it's the most iconic and memorable Metallica album of all time, and my personal favorite Metallica album of all time. And that's it, guys, for the Metallica ranking. Let me know what your guys' ranking is for all the Metallica albums down in the comments section below, and I might do more of these as time goes on. I'm planning on doing a Stained one. I might even rank all the Insane Clown Posse Joker cards from worst to best as well. We'll have to see what comes. But anyways, guys, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little trifecta of album rankings. Peace out, guys.